Welcome back, folks. This is my review of 3 of the pouches that Leatherman makes that will fit the Leatherman Surge, which is my favorite multi-tool. It's not the only one I have, but it's one of my favorites. It's my favorite, and I've done a complete review on the Surge as well as the attachments that go for it in this link and this link here. So if you go to either of those, they'll open in a separate window, and I'll throw those up at the end as well. But if you do, they'll be in a separate window. You can pause this. Here's my favorite feature of the Surge, next to a couple from the attachments, which are very well thought out. I believe this is America's answer to the Swiss Army knife, and I think we've done a fine job with it. Here are the pouches, and we'll start here. Essentially, I'll say bottom line up front. I'm not real happy with any of them. They all have serious deficiencies, and I'm going to cover those today. That being said, they're deficiencies for me. They're not deficiencies so much in production. And I will get right down to them, but first I will say we've already covered this pouch in some detail. We'll come back to it at the end and explain why. It's probably going to be why I wind up keeping and using 4 of this tool. That being said, through the magic of video editing, we're going to instantly transfer all of the multi-tool pieces into this bag here. This is the Leatherman Molly XL, and this will hold not only the Surge, but the EOD and the DET knife, and a couple of others. And it'll tell you if you look on the packaging. But today we're talking about it in purposes for use with the Leatherman Surge. Bottom line up front, it is too tight a fit for my Surge with some of the basic Leatherman accessories that make the Surge, to me, superior to some of the other multi-tools and multipliers out there, if not all of them. Here, let me show you, all right? This is my problem with it. It's too tight when I put all of these pieces in there. If I don't have these attachments, I can get this in and out pretty quick. This may stretch out over a period of time, but even if it does, there is no room to inside put this, which to me is the best feature of this whole toolkit, is the ability to attach this 1/4 inch driver. This outside pouch is not not a good place to carry it, because there's a great potential that it's just going to work its way out and fall. This elastic is nowhere near strong enough to hold it, and if it was, it would be so tight you couldn't possibly get this in and out. I may do some stitching and sew this down a bit. If I can get it to fit like this, that may be an option. I still don't like the fact that it could then pull out from the top, but that may be better than nothing. That being said, I'm a little disappointed that while they put a lot of thought into other aspects of this, this is a little bit undeveloped. Okay, I have inside of here all of the accessories. First of all, the blade kit that comes with it, and also these are tight too, and I'm not a weakling. The 42 or the 21-piece 42-bit kit, and this. If I take all of that out, it's very easy to get my Surge in and out, all right? If I only put what came with the blade back inside, and there's a pouch inside, there are 2 separate little slits here, pouches, or places to carry. Don't push this down too far. If you push down too far, you'll not be able to get it out very easily. If I put it on the inside pouch, everything is good and secure. So if you're only going to have the Surge with just the regular Surge and not any of the accessories, this Molly is actually pretty good. Let's look at it from that perspective. Let's say you're not going to go with the bits. I don't recommend that you say, well, I don't need the bits right now, so I'm never going to get them. Think about that for a minute. This is an actual Molly type belt loop attachment. It, of course, you'll have to weave it in and out to make it fully strength and full functional, but it gives you the option to carry it high or low, because the loops are consecutive. They're one after the other. Sometimes, you know, you'll get a pouch or something and it's only got 2 of these on here, and that's fine. It'll work, but you have to carry it at a certain height. So this gives you a little bit of latitude. It also helps you if you want to carry it on your belt, high or low, by allowing you to simply create a belt loop like so. So now I could carry it sitting up high on my belt, okay, or I could carry it sitting low by just simply changing out and dropping through the loops. This way, when I first got it, I thought, well, wow, this is quite a fat belt, wide belt. I mean, I don't have a belt that wide that I wear, except maybe a pistol belt. And it could probably go around a pistol belt, but this gives you the option to tailor the size to it. It's made out of a good heavy-duty nylon. It's very well stitched. It has good Velcro, aggressive Velcro I would call it, and a very good overlap when it's in the pouch with just the surge and just the single blade that came with it. However, if I put all the bits and pieces in here that I like, which is these, it's too tight. It is not going to fit. All right, just there's no way it's going to happen. Now, through the magic of video editing, I will replace all of the tools into the next pouch. As you can see, I've tried to put everything in here and it won't quite fit. All right, it's just a little bit too tight. I cannot close this flap down with all of the tool attachments that I like to carry, which are not that many. There is, however, the pouch on the outside, and it seems to hold by doing it this way. There's a cloth loop. Now, it makes it kind of hard to get this back off, but if you're not going to be using this tool very much, which is not me, you can sort of get this in there. However, it really is a booger to take out. As you can see, I'm having to fumble around with it. I may have actually stumbled across a feature or a bug. If you there's a little loop in here, and if you put it through the loop and then push it down, it does hold it a lot better. So obviously, as you can see, it's not going to fall out. But obviously, as you can see, it's not easy to deploy. With all of the tools in it that I want to carry, it will not close. There's no way. So let's look at what happens when I take out the bit driver and the actual bits. And if you put the bits in here, it's not going to be easy to get them out. The nice thing is they won't fall out. The bad thing is you can't close the pouch up. If you put the blade back into the only pouch that's on the outside, it seems like it'll sort of hold in there. There's a little hole in the bottom of this, not that hole, but this hole right here. This is actually an open type flap pouch here. You see how I can pull this out the bottom? That's probably not going to come out real easy, but to me, I don't want to trust that. I don't want to leave that to chance. And you can see some of the threads are starting to come loose on the stitching, which that's not really a good sign to me. That can be fixed. I just don't feel comfortable when I start seeing stitching coming loose on something like a sheath. That tells me there may be issues later on. All right, if I put this in, which is what came with it, ta-da, we can actually close and snap. Okay, so we're covered on that issue. But again, look, thread's hanging out. That's not really good. This was only $6.95. The other sheath was $14.50. Here's the part that really makes me uncomfortable. It's a belt loop. It's not going to go onto your molly gear without attachment, without like a malice clip put in horizontally. However, there's another problem. Let me take this out so I can show you. This is what I don't like about this for belt attachment. If you stick your finger in here, it feels like, okay, we've got really good stitching going all the way across the top, it looks like, attaching this part to the rest of the sheath body. But at the bottom, look, we've only got a few stitches here and a few stitches there, because this is stitched only on the corners. I don't really like that. It's not that bad, but to me, I'm very picky about my sheaths and anything that I wear on the outside of my gear, because I know this stuff gets snagged on things. If you're climbing and you're doing a lot of active things, you're getting in and out of a boat, getting out of a vehicle, crawling around on the ground, there's a good chance that this will snap off. So not that bad, but it's not that good. I'm almost tempted to try to pull it apart just to see how strong it is. But to me, that's just a little bit of a weak point. But at the end of the day, even if I sew this up and make it bomb-proof, well, at the end of the day, I still have the inability to put all of my stuff inside. So if you're going to have the serge alone, this is a $6.95 sheath. It's kind of nice. Got the Leatherman logo on there. That's pretty cool. But at the end of the day, it's not a safe place to carry. If you're working in an office environment, or you're in a very kind of controlled and sedate environment, it might be okay. But if you're going to get out in the field in the brush like I do, it's not going to be my choice. That being said, for both of these sheaths, it's not a waste of money because I will simply put my other tools in that I don't really carry that much out in the bush. So, bottom line up front on that one, or actually we're at the end. Bottom line on this, I don't like it for using with all of my attachments. It's just not going to hold it. It doesn't cut the mustard, and this is a little bit questionable to me. It would be great if this was bigger and this had a better belt loop and bigger. Thus, here I am back with the original issue, came out of the box with the knife or with the tool, Leatherman Sheaths. The sheath holds everything in it that I carry, and it's got space for two other things, a pen or maybe a small, very tiny actual pen type light. I don't know about that. Definitely not going to hold a mag light. It's got the Velcro. So we're back to the original sheath. It's covered in the other video, but I throw it on this one too in case you're just looking at sheaths. The original sheath, as you may remember, and if not, I'll cover it real quick. I don't like the loop on here. It just seems to be a little bit loose. The stitching to hold the loop on seems a little bit, I don't know, weak. Look, maybe I'm just being idealistic, but this is what came with my Gerber, a malice clip, okay? That's not going to come unstitched. In order for that to come loose, I got to rip this entire belt loop on, which is like machine stitched on. So Gerber got this sheath right, okay? This sheath is not coming off. I can go do an airborne operation with this, be a hung jumper in the door, and I'll probably still not rip this sheath off of my gear. My gear might come apart, but the sheath is probably going to be the last thing that goes. Whereas this one, I feel like if I really caught that on something, it might snap. Also, something that's sewn on needs to be sewed on by machine. So they've got the stitching here correct. It's just this seems a little flimsy, this nylon. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. I don't really like it. I don't like the single stitching. It looks very light, like light thread that's stitching on this batting around the edges. Basically, that's the edging material on there. I don't really care for that. But other than that, it holds the entire tool, and it does it in a logical fashion. Here's my extra blades. All right, here is my actual tool. Here inside, there is a stretchy pouch which will hold all of my bits and almost break my coffee cup, and it'll hold the bit driver. It holds it all in there comfortably, and I can get the tool out as well. So I like it, and I don't. I like it because it was thought out that, hey, we want to hold all of the attachments in here, but I don't like it because it's a little light. So maybe the fix is going to be to take this back to the sewing machine and run some extra stitching where I think it needs, and perhaps even sew on my own belt loop or my own loop attachment so I can put a malice clip in here or something else. All right, folks, this has been the Maineprepper. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this clears things up. Probably the best thing you can do is skip buying the extra pouches, stick with the one you got, and just fix it up, okay? Get you a heavy-duty needle and thread, and get some catgut, or better yet, get some fishing line, and that's what I'm going to most likely use, is fishing line to stitch this thing up. Thanks for tuning in, folks. This has been the Maineprepper. Go over here and have a look at my Leatherman Surge and my accessory review. Thank you. Bye.